Hello my friends, how are you doing? Today I'm going to show you how to use the depth of field filter in Affinity Photo to turn an average photo into an amazing shot. My name is Olivio, I'm a professional designer and I want to thank all of my patrons who support me and make these videos possible. So first of all, what is depth of field and how do you use it in Affinity Photo? Well, let's look at another picture where everything is sharp in the picture. And when you look on the right side where you have your layers, down here you have this little icon. It looks like an hourglass. When you hover over it, it says Live Filters. So click on that and you get this long list. In the upper part, you have all the different blur options. One of them says Depth of Field. When you click on that, you get these two circles and these blue dots. So what are they? Well, the blue dots are handles. You can grab them and move them around. The inner ones will change the inner circle, the outer ones the outer circle, of course, and then the one in the middle will move the whole effect around. And when we now look at this little window here that we have radius, vibrance, and clarity. Radius is actually the amount of blur. So when you kick this up, you can see that now these parts are getting blurry, and you can also see right away that the edges of your picture are getting transparent because there is no more information there, but still it's getting blurred. So this is why it's getting transparent. If you don't want to have that, you need to click on Preserve Alpha like this, and now you can see the edges are nice and clean and the blur is still there. And now it also makes more sense what these circles are. So the outer circle is where we have the blur, and the inner circle, so this is where the maximum blur area is, and this is where the minimum blur area is. So everything beneath that line inside of the circle will be sharp, and you can pull this out so you can see you can make it sharp in a very small gradient or in a very big gradient where almost everything is blurred and the blurriness like reduces in a very soft way, while here it goes in a very sharp way. So this is what that does, and of course the middle one is moving the blur effect around. We have two other levers here and they are kind of self-explanatory. So inside of the blurred area you can adjust if you want to have more vibrance. Often you can't really see much. You can see you get a little bit more color here if I turn this to 100%. And then we have clarity, which is a little bit more apparent. If you pull this up, you can see that over the picture you get a lot more clarity. And then also what we have is the mode. You can set it elliptical, which is like this, or you can set it tilt shift, which will make the blur in a straight line. And this often is very useful for different effects, especially the effect I want to show you today. It can also be useful for landscapes like this. You can see now that only this area here is sharp while these areas are blurred, and you can of course use this for the famous tilt shift effect. But today I want to show you a different effect. It's really amazing. So what we are going to do here is that we want to have this part that's not so nice. We don't really want to see it. It's blurred, but we want it to be more blurred. So we have this high aperture effect. It looks like really nice and like a prime lens and just like focuses more on the model and the picture. So I have another video where I show another trick on how to do that, but this time we're going to do it with the depth of field filter and a very easy way to get this trick done. So the first thing you want to do here is that you select her. So use the selection brush over here on the left side and make a selection of her. That should be nice around, of course, her outer edges like this. There we go. Also the middle. And then over here, a little bit of the hair. The left side in this case is not as important because the left side will not be blurred, but the right side will be blurred a lot. So there we have to be more careful. Good. Let's go to Subtract to remove parts we don't need. This looks pretty good. Up here we have to adjust this a little bit. Whoops. That was too much. And then let's go to Refine real quick and paint a little bit over these areas where we have the hair, like so. That's okay. Over here, I will define this as the background. So that is good. Okay, what else? Let's look at the hands here. All of that looks good. We can, oh, this was not good. We can paint over this here a little bit. And here. Let's go down here, maybe here a little bit. That looks pretty okay. This part, we don't really see anything in there. We can leave that as is. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we have this selection, and now what we are going to do, and it is really important for this next step that the background has in brackets here pixel. If it doesn't say pixel, you have to right click and then rasterize, so it goes from image to pixel, because otherwise you can't copy anything out of that. Good. If this is pixel, on your keyboard, press Ctrl-C and then Ctrl-V, and this will put her on an extra layer. As you can see here, now she's separated from the background. And you still want to keep the selection, because now what we're going to do is you click on the background layer, and then you go to Edit and in Paint. And this will take a little bit, and then it will magically remove her from the picture. There we are. It's not perfect, doesn't have to be perfect, because it will be covered up by her in a second. So we have this. Now we can turn on the other layer again. The only reason we do that is so if we blur the background, there is no halo around her, because otherwise the pixels would be blurred on the edge and just look out behind her. We don't want to have that. Good. So after we have done this, now here comes the depth of field magic. Go down here again to live filters and then to depth of field. And you want to set this to tilt shift in this case, and then rotate it so it follows the shape of her body. Let's move this over here. The sharpness should be here, so this should be the center point. And then I want to move these parts over here out of the way like this. And this part, we can actually move this a little bit over. We want to have the blur covering her like this. This can be moved over here. And now we can play with the radius like so. And you can see that this already is kind of okay, but it's not too much. So in here where it says 100 pixel, we will go to 250 pixels. We want to have full power here. Let's actually go to 300 pixels. And then I will move this over even more. You can really decide, you can really design how you want this to be. So I would say that looks pretty good. As you know, we have clicked here on Preserve Alpha. We have a little bit of blur over here. You can even make more blur over here. Just want to have a little bit, maybe zoom out here, drag this away a little bit and then drag it back in, so you have a softer gradient on that blur, and you can see how amazing that looks. Let's turn that off, and there might be some details here that are not so nice, like this detail here that comes from our copy. So the only thing we have to do here is to go to eraser brush and just delete this detail here. The rest looks actually pretty nice. We can look up here. Also, this looks pretty nice. So everything is basically how it should be. And you can see, like, in seconds, we have created a picture that looks a lot better than the original. Let's turn off our blur again, so you can see this is the original. We don't need that ugly background. And this is the new version. Looks really amazing. By the way, I also have a Facebook group where you can meet other amazing people who are into photo editing. And I also have a newsletter that you should check out, where I post the newest stuff that's going on, so you can learn even better. Thank you very much. See you soon and have a nice day. Bye.